All right, guys, today is going to be another solo episode, and that's because our world is in a crazy fucking time. A lot of people have reached out to me for just opinions on different things that are transpiring in our world, and particularly the Middle East. And I thought it'd be nice to sit down and go over some things, share my thoughts, and I'm going to let you guys know right now that some of you guys listening aren't going to like what I have to say. But please just hear me out. You know how I roll if you're listening to the show. I don't claim to be right. I don't claim to have the answer to all of these things. But I think it is time for us to dig in a little deeper when we see good guys versus bad guys, send U.S. military, send money, and let's go to war. Because how much longer are we going to keep falling into that trap? So I'm going to delve into that a little bit. And then, as we always do, talk about some personal excellence things, some things that are coming down the pipe in my life that I'm excited for you guys to become a part of. And we'll probably wrap it up in an hour or so, like we normally do. I'm a little sick, as you guys can tell, but that's life. The podcast must continue. And so let's knock this out and let's do it. The first thing that I do want to just jump right into is every fucking news media outlet's main headlining news is still the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. And this is something that's been weighing heavy on me. If you're new to the show, I want you guys to understand I did 14 deployments to the Middle East, to Iraq and Afghanistan. And from the age of 21 to 29, I was deployed for a 5-year period of time. And that was both in military service and in contracting. And I understand contracting was a choice, as was military service back then. Everybody that was part of the military volunteered to be there. And so I'm not giving a poor me or complaining about how my life went. That was the path I chose, and that is what I did with my youth. Now, even though it was by choice and I volunteered to do those things, the older we get, when we reflect on how the wars went and why we were there and what I was doing, I think we have a little clearer perspective. And that's just part of maturing as a man, gaining wisdom, and then also stepping away from being guided and told what to do and starting to think more clearly for yourself and detaching from the emotions of what I was experiencing as a young ranger in war, protecting our country against these evil terrorists that attacked our country on 9/11. There's a lot of emotion around that. I remember when I was a young ranger, when people would even suggest 9/11 was an inside job, or not even necessarily a complete inside job, but there are things about 9/11 that aren't making sense. There are things that transpired that should make you want to take a little deeper look and ask, well, how did Tower 7 fall? Things like that, right? Now, at the time, if you said that, you were fucking crazy, conspiracy theorist, piece of shit, fuck you, you don't support our troops. Like, it was a bad time to be critical of the U.S. government. And it was a bad time to be critical of the U.S. military. And I was part of that. I bought off on that. I remember a family member of mine, at the time, early on, she brought up some of the things about 9/11 that weren't making sense. And I took offense to that. And I said, listen, I'm literally deploying with the possibility of losing my life. I don't want to hear all your crazy shit. And it's because I wasn't emotionally mature enough to hear those things back then. Guys, it's important for the men and women like us that were boots on the ground in warfare, that spent a substantial amount of time in our youth dedicated to war. It's important for us to look at ourselves in the mirror and be completely honest about what is taking place today. Detach your emotions if you are pro-Israel or you're pro-Palestinian, and let's just have a conversation. And guys, by all means, if you have family in one of those places, or your heritage is from one of those places. Like, I totally get and understand why people are changing their Instagram profile picture to a flag of one of those nations to say, I support this or I support that. But what I'm afraid of and what I'm seeing happening is you just have these two teams of people that absolutely will not be willing to admit any fault of the from the other side, and there is no path forward other than war. And I don't claim to be an expert on the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I think most of us are aware that after World War II, that is when Israel, I should say modern Israel, became what it currently is. And then it's also well understood that the Palestinians were having their land encroached on, and that's been an ongoing thing for the last 75 years. And I also understand that, this is biblical for a lot of you, is that the Israelites are God's chosen people. And I get that it's biblical, and I get that now we have people's faith intertwined. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that's probably true on both sides. So if you think your faith is right and their faith is wrong, just remember they look in the mirror and feel the same thing. What's most concerning to me is that Americans, and probably not people that consume this podcast, because people that consume this podcast aren't the type of people that just flavor of the week. It's BLM and you put the black square and then you hang a fucking flag on your house, and then it's LGBTQ and now I support Ukraine. Like, you see those memes going around where it's just, hey, I support the thing, right? We're starting to see that with this too. This is just another thing. This is another thing that consumes you, that is a low vibration, that fills you with hate and distrust of a certain group of people, and it fills you with conflict, and it makes you want to go hurt people. But I posted this on Instagram the other day, and I want you guys to think about it. If you are so concerned with the outcome, regardless of what way, on one side or the other, and you are extremely vocal, you're attending rallies, you're posting a bunch of stuff on your social media, if it's very important for you as an individual person to see Israel be successful in this conflict, go over there and fucking fight for it. That's not me being a dick. That's the truth. Because if you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is, all you are is somebody that is fucking talk. And I'm sick and tired of Americans being all bark and no bite. It's half of the fucking problem in this country. If it's so important to you that one side or the other finds success in this conflict, and you have a personal fucking stake in it for whatever reason that you do, get your ass over there and fight for it. Be honorable. Stand behind your words with action. But this is what I say to you. If you're unwilling to take up arms and fight in the streets, if you are unwilling to do that, what it tells me is this conflict isn't that important to you. It's really not that fucking important to you. It's important enough just to cry about it, just to complain, just to post it on social media. It's just as important enough to go attend a rally at a Capitol building. You think any of that stuff fucking makes any difference? You think the powers to be, you think the fucking politicians in DC give a fuck if a couple hundred people come out there waving flags that say Free Palestine? You think they give a fuck? You think that's going to change anything? Because it's not. We are past the point as American citizens of hoping that our protests, that speaking up, that using our voice, that standing against these fuckers in Washington, giving all of our money away, we are past the point where when we act in reasonable manners, that we can expect that to affect change, because it's not going to affect change. These motherfuckers are going to do what they want, however they want. They're going to give our money to whoever they think is best suited. And as you guys saw, there was $100 million aid package that was announced. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And most of it's going to, you're going to be shocked to hear this, Israel and Ukraine. So it's so fucking important for all of you guys out there to know that Ukraine is going to be victorious or Israel is going to be victorious. It's so important to you that you won't do anything about it. So think about that. Ask yourself why. Oh, well, because I got a job and I got kids and I got my life and I got things going on. I got prior engagements. I got commitments. If a commitment to a fucking wedding or a commitment to some work project supersedes protecting people from getting killed in a country that you say that you are willing to stand behind, then you're full of shit. You just want to be part of something. So why don't you fucking take that want of being part of something and apply it to America? And guys, if you fucking suit up, like Tim Kennedy, some other guys I know, my buddy Jay is in Israel fighting right now. Like, if it's important to you and you're willing to fucking put on body armor and go over there and be part of the fucking mission, that's honorable. I respect that. And to tell you the truth, I respect that if people do that on either side of the fence. I used to say that about the men we were fighting in Ramadi, because half of them were from Yemen and Chechnya and Syria. They came to Ramadi to fight fucking me, the American soldier. And as evil and grotesque and worthless as I thought they were at the time, I had to acknowledge it's pretty honorable. You have a belief system. You have a side that you support. You have a side that you perceive as the enemy. And I'm going to travel there and I'm going to fucking fight you for it. It's honorable. You have to respect it. So if you're willing to do that, cool. But if you're not willing to do that, it tells me you don't give a fuck. So shut the fuck up about all of this. I'm in support of this or that, or this is my side, and these people over here are pieces of shit, and blah, 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 because you're too cowardly to go do the mission. Now, I went and did the mission for a long time. And that's why I'm not willing to go do the mission again, because I think it's flawed. I think it's full of shit. I think our government is using all these conflicts to launder money and place people in power. I don't think what we are being told by CNN and Fox News and the president standing at his podium, I don't believe any of it anymore. And it's not because I'm a crazy right-wing lunatic. It's because over the last 4 years, every single thing that our government and the media has told us has been a fucking lie, a provable lie. Data can prove that what we were told about the pandemic, the vaccine, about COVID, everything, BLM, everything, they fucking lie to you, they manipulate you, and they use you as the useful idiots to push their agenda. That's why you have every fucking college campus. Go trans kids or trans rights or human rights and all the bullshit. It's because you guys get sucked in to what they're telling you to get sucked into. And as irritating as it is, I can't be that mad at you, because when I was 20, I got sucked in to what they were trying to suck me into too. Except what I got sucked into was a 20-year war. Now, I say it all the time when the war comes up on the podcast. I enjoyed it. It was fun. A lot of crazy experiences, a wild, wild existence in my 20s. However, that doesn't mean that we didn't get manipulated. That doesn't mean that our government wasn't full of shit. What were we doing in Iraq? If anybody can paint that picture for me with truth and authenticity, I would like to know. Because I remember we were going to Iraq because Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. That was what every media outlet pushed. That's what every government official pushed. And then it never really came to fruition, did it? And not only did it not come to fruition, but then they started telling us, well, the reason we're doing this is because if we don't fight them over there, they're going to come to our country, and then we're going to have to fight them over here. And over here, we have our families. And we have our communities. Let's fight them over there so we don't have to fight them over here. Again, honorable, or I should say, it's a statement that resonates in a young man. The enemy of my country is over there, and I'm going to go fucking fight them. That way they never make it over here. Where's the data to support any of that? That's why I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it again in the news headlines. Hamas terror attacks are imminent and all this stuff, right? Now, that's a whole other thing to unpack because I think that's probably accurate. But again, is it as a result of us deciding to publicly show support for Israel? Or is it because they want us to jump right into World War III? So they left our fucking borders wide open for 2 years. And now we're going to act shocked when people are inside of our country that we don't particularly want here. And let me ask you this, guys. Is that a 25-year-old jihadist's fault? Or is that the fucking administration's fault? Not defending our borders, not securing our fucking country, not doing the things that are literally common sense when it comes to security. And then some fucking people get slipped through the cracks and they're going to go blow up a church or blow up a sporting event. And we know who the fuck is to blame for that. That's why I ain't about giving all of my life energy to the conflict going on the other side of the fucking planet, because the motherfuckers right here at home are the ones that are hell-bent on destroying our lives. And guys, we're watching it in real time. So if you want to give all of your life energy to support Israel or support the Palestinians, then go fucking do something about it. And if not, acknowledge it's not your conflict. That's not my war. And that's okay. Now, can you have opinions on it? Sure. Can you have thoughts that you want to share with people? I'm not saying that that's unreasonable. But when you act like it's the end-all be-all and you ain't even willing to step up and be part of it, it just makes you look weak. Because let me ask you this. What is a war worth fighting for you personally? For you personally, who's listening to this, to don a set of body armor and a helmet and a rifle and fight other men to the death. What would it take for you to be willing to do that? And every man and every woman is going to have a different answer. But I would say that whatever you fall on, whatever that answer is, that's probably where you should start getting really concerned about a violent conflict. You know where I've landed on this? Is if I am experiencing conflict on U.S. soil and my friends and my community and my family are in any type of jeopardy. And I'm here to tell you right now, that is against an enemy, foreign or domestic. That is who I am willing to fight against at this point in my life. I have no desire to go to the other side of the world and get interjected into the middle of a conflict that has no bearing on me, no bearing on my family, no bearing on my children, no bearing on my professional career. And there's going to be people listening saying, well, listen, if Israel falls, then blah, 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 blah. Or, if Palestinians get so upset, they're going to send people to America. Like, I get all that, okay? But we're doing a fucking terrible job at being the world police. I think that's something we can all acknowledge. We have been trying to be the world police since World War II, and we seem to fuck it up every time. So you tell me what makes you think the United States jumping into the middle of more bullshit is going to have an advantageous outcome for you, our families, and this country. You don't understand foreign policy, Greg. That's what all these people on Instagram always like. If they don't agree with somebody else's opinion, it's because they don't understand foreign policy. And I'm sure everybody that's typing that is an expert in foreign policy. But you can take your expertise in foreign policy and shove it up your ass. Because if you believe that foreign policy over in Israel is so fucking important, if you believe that, it's so important that if we don't interject ourselves and we don't partake in this war, that it's going to somehow affect your family here on U.S. soil, and you're not willing to fucking go over there and fight, save your fucking breath. Because it means one of two things. It means you're either lying or you're a fucking pussy. That's what it means. And if you're a liar or a fucking pussy, I don't particularly care what your opinion is. That's where I've landed on this. So I'm sick and tired of everybody acting like they're so invested. It's all virtue signaling bullshit. Guys, human beings have been fighting each other since the beginning of time all over planet Earth. And since the beginning of time until 100 years ago, the conflict that you were concerned with was the one right in front of your face, at the end of your sword, or at the maximum effective range of your musket. That's a conflict you were concerned with, rather. The horde coming over the fucking hills when your village is in the valley, that's probably a conflict you should be concerned with. But I think humanity is out of touch because we have so many people living these lives on top of each other, living in these giant fucking metropolitan areas, fucking packed in like ants. And then at the very, very, very top of this, we have someone who's called the president. The president of 400 million people. Who doesn't share my ideology or my views or understand where I came from or what I've done? He doesn't understand a motherfucking thing. And none of the people in DC understand a motherfucking thing about the normal Americans like me and you. What they understand is we're a source of money. And they tax us to death. They take, and you get fucked in return. And they manipulate you just enough to where they get to keep taking because you want to support Ukraine. Do you know, I saw a statistic the other day that every American family has paid $3,000 to Ukraine. I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. But regardless if that number is incorrect or not, it's not very hard to do a quick math problem and look at how many billions of dollars have been sent to Ukraine and how many people we have here in the United States and say, oh, every single one of us is bearing a burden that most of us shouldn't be wanting, isn't a burden that we should be trying to bear. So what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? You're going to keep being manipulated? Give your whole fucking life, your life's energy to some bullshit that you have no power to affect? Guys, we know. We know the next conflict that comes here is going to be a serious one. And we're treading on the eve of World War III because of all these elite cocksuckers. And they ain't going to send them into the fucking fray, and they're not going to send their children into the fray. They're going to send fucking mine, and they're going to send yours. So I'm here to tell you, you ain't sending mine. It's not happening. You're not sending my children into another war that you kicked up by interjecting yourself into things that are none of our fucking business. Iraq worked out real well for us, didn't it? Afghanistan, another great fucking victory for the United States. Vietnam, like what's it going to take for you guys to start to develop some distrust in the fucking corrupt political motherfuckers that are running our military industrial complex? What's it going to take? Because if you go off of their track record, the conversation comes to a conclusion in about 10 minutes. If you went to a doctor's office for a surgery and you talked to the surgeon about his track record and it looked like the U.S. military's track record in foreign fucking policy, I'm going to guess you wouldn't choose him for your surgeon. But for whatever reason, people seem to forget what happened fucking yesterday, basically. Afghanistan just wrapped up. And now we're going to jump back into it. And guys, I already know I'm going to get emails. Well, you sounds like you support Hamas, motherfucker. I used to shoot dudes like that in the face. ISIS, Hamas, Al-Qaeda. Like, they're all interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. But let me say this. Do I support Hamas? Do I think Hamas is a good organization? No, of course not. But what has the West done in the last 20 years to make these Islamic extremists have anything but hate and disdain for us? So while I don't support these fucking crazy jihadist motherfuckers, what I can do is I can detach emotionally and say, it's pretty clear why they would hate the West. Our media and our government tells us they hate the West because of our freedom. And I used to believe that. Maybe the fucking guys on that side of the fence hate the West because we blew up their entire family at a wedding with a drone. You get what I'm saying? We can say they're these evil fucking religious wackos. I'm willing to bet that we made a lot of wackos. Because if you blew my house up with one of your drones and killed my fucking babies, I would be on a mission for the rest of my fucking life to try and get some. Here's the next thing we need to think about with all of this. Israel's supposed to have the highest level of surveillance technology on planet Earth. And a bunch of fucking dudes flew over on those, looks like those giant fans that you buy at Walmart, and went into a concert and shot up 200 people. Now, I looked for the footage of all these people dying, and I couldn't find it. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. People are saying it's on Reddit, and then it's on Telegram. Send it to me. I want to see the 40 beheaded babies. Not because I'm into that kind of shit, because I want to fucking see it. Because a lot of what we're being told, I'm not seeing it, and I think it would be everywhere. And I'm not saying these guys didn't come over and attack people. But what I am saying is it sounds like there's more going on than meets the eye. What I am saying is the most high-tech surveillance equipment on planet Earth. I think there was an IDF soldier that did an interview, and she said, like, a cat can't walk across the fucking border without being detected. But a fucking squadron of flying fucking lawnmowers can? So I just think there's more going on here than we are being told, and something feels fishy with it. Our fucking country is collapsing financially. Inflation is an all-time high. I'm looking at buying a house soon, and interest rates are 8%. Now I know interest rates go up and down. Yeah, I get all that. But food, fucking interest rates on homes, gas, taxes, everything is always going up, going up, going up. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but someone did a comparison of the average cost of goods. And not just like food, a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, your house payment, your car payment, like all the normal things that human beings have had to have as expenses throughout our country's history. And they said when you compare the cost of things to the average income, it's worse than the Great Depression right now. Like they said, the average house is like 6 times your annual salary. So think about that stuff. It's crazy. It's never been the case. And the reason I bring this stuff up is because, listen, a lot is going wrong here at home. And while your focus continues to be abroad, we continue to fucking spiral the drain right here at home. We have a lot of cleaning up to do right here. Our cities are in shambles. Come walk through my city of Seattle and tell me what you think of it. Walk the waterfront, walk Pike's Place. And the thing is, my story here in Seattle is not unique. Every big fucking city in America is going through this shit. And we just allow our politicians to piss all of our money away, not help any of the people here in our country, not build our infrastructure, not invest in our education, not build a strong military that's capable of defending this country, not securing our fucking borders, all the things that would benefit you and your family, they're not doing with our money. And you know why? Because it doesn't benefit them. We all know that's the truth. So before you let our puppet masters attach their strings to your emotions again and pull you into this one side or the other, where now you're totally fixated on some shit that has nothing to do with you, I want you to ask yourself why. I want you to ask yourself why. Now, moving past that, now that I have made the conscious decision to not get all caught up in what's happening in Gaza and not what's happening in Lebanon, I have landed on where I've been landing more and more lately is I'm going to build me. I'm going to focus on me. And here's the deal, guys. If it does lead to World War III and we are interjected into this, and it could be either way, from our involvement or our lack thereof involvement, because I don't have the crystal ball. I don't know what the right answer is. But if it does turn the world into fucking chaos, what are you doing to be ready for that? If you're changing your Instagram profile picture to one side or the other because you feel that this conflict is so important and the stakes are so high, if you're telling me the stakes are high and World War III could be a potential outcome, what are you doing? Americans, for so long, have been isolated from conflict. Even in the big world wars, outside of Pearl Harbor, we got to be isolated from the conflict. The soldiers weren't isolated. The soldiers are never isolated. But the American people have got to be isolated. That's not the case for Europe. That's not the case for the Middle East. That's not the case for Africa. That's not the case for a lot of parts of Asia. But this is the truth, guys. If we fail to be able to secure peace on an international level, you're probably going to see conflict on your soil at some point. I don't know what this conflict looks like. I don't know who our adversaries are going to be. Are we going to be shooting Chinese troops, or are we going to be shooting UN troops in their fucking blue helmets? Because either one of those forces on my fucking neighborhood soil walking around enforcing their fucking rules is going to get it. Or is it going to be internal conflict? Are we going to be fighting our fellow Americans? Because that ain't out of the realm of possibility either. But as we move into uncertain times, instead of investing your energy over there, think about investing your energy over here. Invest it in you. Invest it into your family. Invest it into your community. Join a fucking jiu-jitsu gym. You got to talk about jiu-jitsu every episode. You're damn right I do. Because if you're part of the right episode or the right academy, what that does is it builds a network of people that are tough, that are willing to fucking be uncomfortable, and that have the propensity to get after it when they need to. Because that's the type of people that the mats attract. Not all academies are created equal. So if you're anywhere local to me, I suggest you come to my academy, because that's our fucking vibe and that's our culture. But the truth can be said about all kinds of different academies nationwide. What are you doing right now to prepare for uncertain times? And guys, this isn't a fear-mongering tactic. I don't use my show to get up here and be like, we're all going to die. And some conservative talk show hosts that I think highly of, that I think are good people, it gets exhausting because it sounds like they're fear-mongering constantly. My message has always been the same. Do the things that you can do to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And what you're going to find is, if best case scenario presents itself and we vote a different fucking leadership structure into America and they start becoming fiscally responsible and the economy turns around and we secure this country and things become better, which is possible, right? I don't know if I think personally that it's possible, but I also understand that I don't have an understanding of every fucking detail going on worldwide. So while my personal opinion and my gut instinct tells me things are going to get worse before they get better, I could also be wrong. And if things get better and you're fit and you've saved more money and you've become more intelligent and you've built a community of friends that you trust, and you've developed an understanding on how to implement or how to use and implement firearms. If you've done all of these things in preparation for something bad to happen and it doesn't, guess what? That's a win. That's still a win. Now, I get it, guys. We got our lives. I'm fucking the busiest I've ever been. I got kids in multiple sports. I got kids in theater. They're in private school, so we don't have a bus. And it's just, I'm basically an Uber driver for half the day. And then I'm a coach in running my business on the other half of the day. I get it. Life is tough and it's hard to make time to invest in the things that we need to invest in. But saying you can't is just an excuse and it's a lie. Remember this, guys. The biggest investment you can make today is deciding to put clean ingredients into your fucking mouth. That's the biggest investment you can make. If you did that and changed nothing else, you would become a stronger version of yourself. And that investment can take place no matter how fucking busy you are, no matter what your schedule is. Right before I started recording, I drank like 7 raw eggs. whoa, Greg, raw eggs don't offer the same kind of protein absorption. I know. I get all that. That's actually why I buy the pasteurized ones, but they're still raw. My point is, it has to happen, and it has to happen now. And if you don't have an element of accountability or a group of people that you can lean on or a facility that you can physically show up in, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get on the path. And it's going to be even tougher to stay on the path. So what does that look like for so many Americans that are called to be better, but they just don't quite have the skill set or the tools or the understanding to get there? Well, there's a million online resources, and that's why these online coaches are fucking making money hand over fist, because a lot of people are lost. Like when I think about someone not being able to work out and get themselves in shape, I'm kind of disgusted. It's almost laughable. But then I have to understand, man, I've been into fitness and athletics my whole life, apart from when I was a little boy. But as soon as I was a teenager, I started playing sports and started getting after it and started lifting weights, and then right into the Ranger Regiment. And then it's just a lifestyle after that. A lot of people don't know what it takes to get there. A lot of people don't even know what it takes to take the first step of that journey. And that is why so many people are seeking that through all of these different online protocols and online curriculums. And I'm not talking shit on any of them, because if they're giving value to people and helping people get healthier and fit, it sounds like a pretty good value exchange to me. If you're paying money to somebody that gets you healthy and fit, where could your money have been better invested? Probably nowhere. But I've been thinking a lot about this because my community here at Electric Jiu-Jitsu in Lake Stevens, Washington, we have an accountability to each other. We talk about these things. I talk to people almost on a nightly basis about what cleaning up your diet would look like, what activities you should partake in, how much water you should drink, all of these things, right, that seem pretty almost common sense based, but if it's not part of your life and it hasn't been part of your life, you don't know what you don't know. And that's what I'm finding out more and more. So what I'm going to do, me and Tyler Stanaway sat down and talked about this, and we are going to release an episode when I get back, probably mid-November, we'll record. We're going to release an episode talking about the plan to bring the vibe of the gym to an online capacity. Now, obviously, I'm not going to fucking teach you jiu-jitsu online. I'm happy to have some jiu-jitsu instructional online. But you have to have an academy. You have to have mats that you're actually training on. And you actually have to be putting in real work. Because an online jiu-jitsu curriculum isn't going to get you very far as your main source of knowledge. Online jiu-jitsu curriculums should be for one thing only, to supplement the training that you are already getting at a real academy with a real professor. So I'm just going to caveat that, or I'm going to put that caveat out there right away, because I never want my program to be interpreted as a McDojo where, oh, you come and you log in and here's a jiu-jitsu curriculum. I can learn jiu-jitsu from Greg Anderson online. I don't have to train in an academy. The other thing I'm going to say about our program is I'll never give belts out. I don't care if you do our program and our curriculum for 5 years. I'm not giving you a blue belt because I don't roll with you and I don't know you personally, and I'm not tying something around your waist without having an intimate understanding of the type of human being you are. What our program's going to be about is bettering your life. I never claim to have all the answers. You guys know me. That's not me. I've said often on this show, I'm not some guru that's leading the journey. I'm part of the journey. But what I've found over the last few years is being part of the journey and having success with the journey and sharing it with others and watching them have success with their journey, what that does is it starts to build some validity in the things that you're saying and doing are actually working. If you guys listened a few episodes ago, one of my jiu-jitsu students named Stephen Hand has completely changed his life based on implementing some of the simple concepts that we preach and that we practice at this gym. And I want everybody to be able to have access to that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on when it's launching or what the name of the program is going to be. All this is still getting ironed out as we speak. But what our platform is going to be, I'm not your coach. I'm not your guru. I'm not someone that's going to fucking sit there and write out how many macros you need to eat and your caloric intake and have you weighing food, all that shit. That ain't me. What our program is going to be about is communication and accountability. We're going to open up lines of communication, not only to us, but to the other members that decide they want to be part of this. And now we can talk back and forth and we can ask questions. And we can say, hey man, like I started doing this and I'm actually still not losing weight. Or my goal for this year is to look like this. Or my goal for next year is to do this with my business or make this much money. Once you have people that you can share your ideas with and other human beings that have knowledge in those areas that can bounce their ideas back at you, what that does is starts to build accountability in itself. We want to build a network online where people can come in, they can ask their questions, they can have personal one-on-one calls with me and Tyler and really unpack some of the things that they're trying to unpack in their life. I am not a relationship expert. I am not a financial advisor. I can tell you the things that I've done in my business to make it do exceptionally well over the last 24 months. I can tell you the things I've done with my body that have made me become exceptionally fit over the last couple of years. Now, I also don't have imposter syndrome. I'm not going to sit here and just say, I don't have. I do have a degree in exercise physiology. I do own a gym with a lot of students that is not only benefiting them physically and emotionally and spiritually, but it's also benefiting me financially. All right. I do have a successful marriage. I do have a family that I feel like I get along with very well. I do have a role as a father that I've really embraced. And if you want to find success in these things, then what you need to do is lean on other men that have found success in these things. And that's okay. I was very lucky and fortunate to have strong mentors throughout my life. People that I could ask these questions to and people that I could lean on when I needed to. And it's important. And if you don't have that in your life, maybe you need to seek that out. I think everybody is going to go through hard times. And what I've found in society lately is we are more isolated now than ever before. People feel trapped. People feel like they don't have a community. I get this all the time in my DMs. It's like, I don't have people that I feel like I'm connected with. And I'm not saying that this online community is going to be the end all be all, but I promise you, fucking promise you, it'll be a good place to start. I promise you, if you follow some of the procedures and some of the protocols we're going to put together to recommend as an initial step into health and fitness, I promise you it's going to benefit you. Nothing that we are going to teach is going to be overcomplicated. It's going to be simply a path to start to move forward today, as opposed to putting it off till tomorrow like most people do. You've heard me say it on the show 100 times, guys. The concept is going to be relatively simple. Implementation is what's going to be difficult. And that's always the difficult part. Most of you guys already know what needs to happen. If you're not happy with where you're at, if you have a bad sex life, your wife won't fuck you anymore, and you're 40 pounds overweight, and you eat fucking pizza and drink beer and play video games, and you're still confused why your wife won't fuck you, you understand what I'm saying. You already know, but knowing's only part of it. Knowing's only a piece of it, because if you're unwilling to implement it, knowledge means nothing. So what I hope to see with the community that we're going to build, I hope that we can take that little bit of knowledge and pass it to you, and then we get to be an accountability partner. We get to be somebody that helps you stay on the path. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not interested in fucking weaklings that want to bitch and complain and cry and fail to meet all their fucking benchmarks that we're going to expect you to make. If that's you, go somewhere else. Go join Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers. Go do what the soccer moms do just to continuously fail. Because that ain't us. I'm in the fucking business of building savages. And if you want to be a savage, this is going to be something that you want to look into. So, guys, I know we kind of fucking harped on the Israeli shit for a while. And, I literally say, don't let it consume your life. And then I talk about it for 45 minutes, but I'm not letting it consume my life. I promise you. I'm just letting you guys know what I think we need to do to build our country up and take care of ourselves. A couple more things that are going through my mind that I'd like to talk about before we wrap this up is I just want you to understand who we're dealing with the United States government. I want you to understand why I have come to the conclusions that I've come to and why I'm really an advocate for distrusting them. And until they can earn our trust again by proving and deserving to earn it, I don't believe the media, I don't believe our government, and I don't think you should either. Because as soon as you start eating out of their hand, they start manipulating you. And then you start getting pulled into things that don't really have any bearing in your life. I was thinking of something the other day when I was watching the president. I forget what he was saying. God, it slips my mind right now. I wish I could remember. But he was absolutely lying. Again, the guy's a fucking habitual liar. And, he's old and he's sick. Nope. He's been a habitual liar for 50 fucking years, so fuck that guy. But he was on his podium lying about another thing, and then there's just no consequences. I saw it on Instagram, and all the comments are like, oh, fucking lying Biden, and all like, everybody knows he's lying, but he gets to hold the position of president of the United States, the most prestigious leadership position in the world. You get to hold it being a lying fuck. And you know whose fault that is? It's our fault. It's our fault because we have allowed these politicians to just completely run amok and do whatever they want, and there's no accountability. Like I just got done saying, the whole reason me and Stanaway are building our program is because accountability is the most powerful tool in your life. When you are accountable to the people to your left and your right, suddenly there's something inside of you that makes you push a little harder. Suddenly there's something inside of you that says, you know what, I need to do the right thing because I don't want to let these people down. Letting people down should hurt. But the people in charge of this country, they don't give a fuck if they let you down. And they don't give a fuck because there's no accountability. And we're coming for accountability one way or the other. As I was watching our president lie through his fucking teeth, you know what I thought? Man, if I got caught doing that, just blatantly lying about something, and I'm not talking about embellishing or getting drunk and telling a crazy story. No. I'm talking about fabricating things that never fucking happened for no other reason than to get an emotional response from people. If I did that, my podcast would be over. If I did that and my jiu-jitsu students found out that fucking professor just lies to us about stuff, my jiu-jitsu academy would implode. Because I still live in the realm of reality where my actions have consequences and I will feel that accountability coming back to bite me in the ass if I act out of line. Those motherfuckers don't have that. That's why they act out of line. That's why they manipulate. That's why they steal. And that's why they're getting us into another fucking conflict, because they don't give a fuck about you or your family or the consequences of the things that they're currently doing. Our lives, the quality of our lives being diminished because of the things that these people do are not a concern of theirs. And that's something that we shouldn't be fucking tolerating for much longer. Other than that, guys, I had more talking points, but we're at an hour. I'll save it for another episode. I appreciate you guys. It's been a while since we've done a solo episode. I feel like dog shit. My voice is raspy, so it may have not been my best work. If you just invested an hour of your time and you're like, fuck, man, why did I do that? I apologize. But raspy voice or not, there's good talking points that you need to think about. We really need to ask ourselves questions, and it's okay to ask questions. I want you guys to leave with no other point than that. I don't care if it's about Israel, if it's about fucking anything. There's certain topics that the government and the social media powers will make off limits. And as soon as something's off limits, you got to ask yourself why. I appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week, heading out deer hunting here in 2 days. We're going to get the deer camp episode, bringing my travel kit. We got some other episodes being recorded out in Wisconsin with archers, and I'm going to try and get my buddy Seamus from Vortex on as well. So thank you guys. We'll be back next time.